In this video, I'm going to walk through how I would add around $41,960 per month in additional sales for a mid-sized creator. So I'm going to go through the current funnel, the current offers, where the gaps are, and how I would adjust things as the operator in terms of the offer and the backend systems to better monetize the attention that they already have. All right, so this video is meant to be intentionally pretty simple. So it's literally just going to be me screen sharing and walking through the analysis. So not a lot of editing, but mostly just pure value. All right. So before we dive in, it would mean a lot to me if you can like this video, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment down below. That just helps us to reach more people with this video and to give more value. Now, without further ado, let's dive right in. Okay, so this creator is in the finance space, and out of confidentiality purposes, I won't say her name or share her URLs. But yeah, just for the sake of this video, I will share with you what she is currently doing, and like I'll only share things that are publicly available on the socials, just so that it respects like her privacy as well. So yeah, so she currently has a low ticket program in the finance space and a high tech program in the finance space. So a low ticket is $299 per year. It's a community for 12 months. So this is like what that looks like. Here's some screenshots there. And then she has a high ticket offer that she currently sells mainly via webinar, and currently is priced at 1197 USD as a 6-week program. Now, like as I go through her funnels and socials, like I'll share some like initial thoughts in terms of what I noticed. And later on in the video, I'll share like what my actual recommendations are and what I would do as the operator. So, but yeah, initial thoughts is like 1197 is kind of a weird price point where it's harder to sell via webinar and without a sales call. So it's getting a bit more friction at a that like middle price point, right? So yeah, anyways, like if I were to go high ticket, I would charge more. But we'll tackle that a bit more later on here. All right. So yeah, but yeah, she has a high ticket funnel, and right now it is cohort based. So the first cohort was early this year, limited 10 spots. Currently that is full. So currently for people that go through the funnel, they will be on a wait list and they'll get a couple emails. So that's kind of what that looks like here. So anyways, in terms of a social channels, so right now this is her YouTube and this is her Instagram. So she's at 75K subscribers on YouTube, 49K followers on Instagram. So I would say she's more of like a mid-sized creator. Now, here's like the breakdown in terms of her videos. So if I go here to see her popular videos, so I think one thing that I noticed just right off the bat is like, she's making videos now for the finance space, but all of her popular videos were content that she made from a couple years ago that are not even related to finance, right? It's like, why are people leaving Canada, becoming a Canadian citizen, life in Canada, right? So, and if you look at her recent finance content, right, which is, as of this recording, here's like some of her most recent videos. Like you can see the 5 recent ones were around the different finance topics. But yeah, like my initial observations are like it is pretty low engagement for the amount of subscribers that she has, right? It's because like at 75,000 subscribers, getting less than 300 views of video is quite low. And I think one reason for that is, well, first of all, like a lot of her subscribers were from the older content, so she doesn't have a lot of finance subscribers. But two is like her content's very like bottom of funnel, which means that like these are videos that are not that searchable. Like these are good for finance prospects that like are aware of the pain points and want to solve it, but it's not great for like attracting like new people through the door. So, more on that in a bit later, right? Now on the Instagram side of things, so Instagram is, I would say, better for her right now at the moment. It's performing better engagement wise. She's averaging anywhere from like, 2,000 to 6,000 views per Instagram reel. And then it seems like right now her main call to actions are to the webinar. So you can see like, she has like posts like this where, hey, she's gonna go through like a 2-hour webinar training where they'll go through like different investing stuff. and then people comment like class below. It's like a ManyChat automation. They get a link to sign up and book a call. So like that's what that looks like as well. Now I would say like yeah, like in terms of her acquisitions right now, it seems to be very reliant on webinars. So that also means like if she doesn't do a live webinar, she doesn't get new buyers for any of her programs, right? And so, you know, doing a 2 hour webinar, preparing for it, it's quite time intensive. So she doesn't have much other ways right now besides a webinar to like bring new buyers into her world. So right now, I would say there's a very large reliance on webinars. Like obviously it is working in that she does have students in her low ticket program and a high ticket program. But yeah, there are some other ways as well that would really complement that strategy, especially like between the different webinars that she does, right? So that is what her current status currently looks like. And that is the overview. All right, now that we know where she is currently at and her current offers, here's what I would do as the operator for her offer here. So in terms of her offer itself, I will make a couple of adjustments. So first of all, like her high ticket price point is way too low. Just for reference, like I did a lot of research in the finance space. I also have friends in the space, and most of our competitors charge anywhere from 5 to 6 thousand USD. So at 1197, that's quite low, and it makes it almost not worthwhile to do a high ticket offer. So I think right off the bat, I would increase our high ticket price point to like $3,000 to start, and a high ticket should be like the main offer that she pushes across the different social channels. Now, she does have the local tech community that is currently working as well. So I'll keep that as a downsell offer for, especially for those that don't have the budget for the high ticket stuff. I think in the long term, she can increase the price point towards like $5,000 USD. Like once she has like more people going through the program and once she has more traffic. But yeah, for now, like I think 3K is a good sweet spot, especially given that like a lot of her audience members are based in Canada. So we also have to keep the USD to Canadian conversion rates in mind. And right now, like her high ticket offer is more like cohort based. So the challenge with that is like when people sign up for her wait list, like they're ready to buy at that moment. But let's say if the cohort doesn't start for like another 2 3 months, they're gonna cool off by then, and then by the time the next cohort rolls around, they may not be interested anymore. So I would say it's best to like turn the offer into evergreen so that she can enroll students into a high ticket program at any time, and that will allow her to capture those students and be able to help them when they're like the most interested, right? So given like her traffic size and the different creators that we've worked with before, like I would say like conservatively, like through implementing these things and through our traffic sources, like once we get things all dialed in and optimized, I'll go through like the sales process, traffic, and the conversion mechanisms a bit later here. But yeah, like once we implement all of that, like just a conservative scenario, like this brings in another 10 new enrollments per month. And so even at like 3K cash collected on average, that's 30,000 per month, right? Now, as she goes through the process and brings in people into a world, there's gonna be people that can't afford the high ticket stuff, or that maybe they have a call, but they decide to not proceed with that. You can still downsell them into the low ticket community. It's a lot easier to downsell them once they know the high ticket price point. So let's say that brings in another 4 new community members every month. So at a 299 price point, that's 11,960 per month. So total, that's $41,960 per month in terms of additional sales for this creator. All right. Now, in terms of the sales process, so like at a high ticket price point, like sales calls will be the best way to sell. So like I wouldn't do like a webinar to like a payment page that she's currently doing right now, because like especially at like a 4 figure price point, that creates a lot of friction in people, like, and they don't have urgency to buy and proceed. They could cold feet last minute kind of thing. So the best way would be to push people towards like a sales call. It could be like, anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes, depending on like how warm they are. So like if they are financially qualified and the pain is enough, they will buy. Like that's a key thing, right? And also like they're like much more likely to get more of the transformation and the result from the high ticket offer rather than the low ticket offer, right? Like, by paying a high ticket price point, they're much more likely to show up, take action. Whereas with the low ticket stuff, it might just be kind of in the background. They won't even attend any calls or go through the module stuff. And then a year later, they'll they won't renew, right? So high ticket is the way to go here. And what I would do is like across the different traffic sources, I would do like an application call funnel. So this could be like a type form or like some sort of application form where people fill out a couple questions. And if they are qualified financially, they get redirected to the closer's calendar where they can book in a call. Now, if they're not qualified financially, they won't even see the calendar. So they would be redirected to the low ticket community and they can buy at that 299 per year price point. All right. Okay. So in terms of high ticket prospects, so I think one thing to know is that like nowadays, like people are becoming more skeptical. Like there's obviously a lot of educational based offers out there. So I think gone are the days where like, you make a post, get people to buy, you message them and they purchase, right? Like gone are those days. I would say nowadays, like for most high ticket prospects, like they need to watch or consume like around 1 to 2 hours of content before they're sold. So I think that's why like her webinars right now are working well because it's literally 2 hours of webinars and content. And besides the webinar, the other way is going to be YouTube, right? Like we don't want to just rely on her like Instagram posts and reels, right? Because if each reel is 30 seconds to 60 seconds, right? Like that's like more than 100 reels for just like an hour of content, right? So that would take quite a bit of time to really like close them, right? So yeah, like I would mainly like use those shorter form content to like push people towards like the longer form content stuff, have them like watch it, get them nurtured, and then have them buy from there. Okay. Now traffic is where I see like probably the biggest opportunity. So on the YouTube side, like given that she currently doesn't have that much like new finance prospects coming in. She needs to bring in more prospects through like top of funnel and middle of funnel content. So I'll kind of share what that looks like next. Like basically this content has to be relevant, it has to bring in new people, and it has to be shareable, right? So I'll share like an example of the competitors top of funnel content below, like from someone else in the finance space. And so I'll share what that looks like here. Okay, so this is what I call a YouTube nurture funnel. So like you got you got the top of funnel stuff, you got middle of funnel and bottom of funnel, right? So top of funnel is basically like what brings new people into your world. Middle of funnel is like what nurtures them, and then bottom of funnel is like for those that are already aware of the pain point and stuff. They're in the process of deciding this is what's going to help them to get over that decision line, right? The top of funnel content. So here's an example of a competitor in the finance space as well. So in this case, he is targeting finance prospects in Canada. And these videos are like very optimized for that. Like, so if you can see these videos, like he actually has less subscribers than this creator. Like he's at like 17,000 subscribers. But yeah, like these videos are like way more searchable. It's like, hey, do this to pay less taxes in Canada, do this to make X per year tax free, how to file on taxes, right? Here's like the investing strategy, right? What's the best stockbroker? So this is all like geared towards number one, like people in Canada, because that is his like ICP. And two is that these are all things that a finance prospect in Canada would search for. And you can see that, these are all videos that has pretty good views, like because these are all have more views than his subscriber count. So this is bringing a lot of new people that are currently not subscribed to him, right? So that's great for bringing top of funnel content into his world. So I would say for this creator, like she would have to create some content like that. So if she's targeting Canada, she can kind of model after these. If she's targeting the US, she can make a couple of adjustments on the US side of things, right? Now, middle funnel, this is where like the gold is, and this is where like we really want to push people to. So essentially the middle funnel is like, think about it like an evergreen VSL that people watch at any time. You make it once and people keep on going back to it, right? And when it goes through this video, like what we wanted to think is like, wow, like this creator really knows the stuff and gives like a ton of value, doesn't hold anything back, and it builds so much trust that the prospect will like take action, book a call and go from there, right? So this is like the anchor of the funnel where like in this YouTube video especially, we want to link people to that application funnel page, have them apply, book a call, go from there, right? So here's an example from another finance creator. Now, I would say 8 hours is very extreme. Like, yeah, like you don't need to create an 8 hour video. I would say typically aim for like 2 hours is like the sweet spot. Like one hour is still fine as well. And essentially like all the videos, like, top of funnel and like other things will like link to that, right? So all the other videos can link to that. And so like once people are in the world, then they check out this video, they get super nurtured, and then they buy, right? And I think the good thing about this is like it's kind of like an evergreen webinar in a way, right? So like even when she's not doing live webinars, like this video will still sell people and bring people in, right? And she only has to make it once and it keeps on selling, right? So she can probably repurpose even like some of the things that she currently has in her webinar content into this like evergreen VSL video. All right. So that is what that looks like there. And then bottom of funnel, these are like people that like knows that she has an offer, like a coaching offer, knows the pain point, knows the model. And these will just help to get them over the line. So maybe they're getting ready to book a sales call, or they've already had a sales call but still on the fence, right? So this is like where like we want to do like more bottom of funnel stuff. These are not meant to be like searchable, but these are for people that are like almost ready to buy, right? They're almost at the finish line. So this would be more stuff like case studies and results, very like hyper niche content. Like people wouldn't be searching for this, right? But for people who are on the fence about moving forward the program, they will go ahead and watch these videos, right? So for example, the same finance creator up here, right? You can see that this is like basically like an 8-minute testimonial interview. So it's like a doctor making 300K a year, but it's still broke. So that's why like that doctor went to work with him to get his like finances in order, right? And yeah, he also has like a like 15 videos of like client case studies and wins, right? Like, those are good to like send to prospects, like, especially like before the sales call, they could like go through this stuff and really get nurtured before talking to them. All right. Here's an example from like another finance creator, right? So it's like, yeah, you can see like these titles are like very like hyper niche, right? It's like, hey, like I just saved this guy from a 10K mistake, money from couples. So yeah, here's like a 6-minute video. This is like a much longer testimonial interview kind of breakdown, probably partly workshop style as well. So, in this case, like this finance creator was like working with one of his clients to like break it down in terms of like, yeah, like how to help them to get out of that situation, right? Because they're in quite a bit of debt. They still spend a lot and majority of what they make and go from there, right? So these are like hitting the direct pain points of the ICPs who are like on the fence about buying, right? So like these are people that can relate to these pain points and can go from there, right? So that's like what bottom of funnel like looks like there. And now, by the way, if you found this video to be helpful so far, please drop a like and a comment below. And also like if you're a creator and you want me and my team's help to like be your operator and like run this process for you, feel free to book a call in the link below and happy to chat. Right now, let's keep on going here. So in terms of the other side of things, now, like on Instagram right now, this creator, she's like very heavily reliant on live webinars. And again, like that's an issue because whenever she doesn't do a live webinar or she gets too busy, she doesn't bring in new buyers, right? So like as she gets these YouTube videos going, like these can actually become more like lead magnets. So like, hey, like, I just dropped a new video about investing, about how to pay less taxes, about how to get started with these different budgeting techniques, right? So, comment budget below, comment X below, right? And then people will be then sent these YouTube videos. They'll go ahead and watch it, and especially for those that watch it, they go through this funnel, right? Like they go through the top of funnel videos, then they check out the super long video, and they go through bottom of funnel. And typically, by the time they get to here, like they don't even have to watch the whole thing, but like by the time they consume like an hour or two of content, they're like ready to buy and they'll book a call, right? And so like that's a great way for her to like cross promote and start a conversation with prospects as well. It basically gets prospects to like raise a hand and say like, hey, like I'm interested, right? Because from those prospects, like if they're warm, they could be like booked directly into calls. If they're colder, they could be directed into like the webinar or like the evergreen like VSL video, right? Now, in terms of the conversion sources, so yeah, a couple different ways to like really ramp up sales for this creator. So number one is like upselling those in her low ticket community. Like for those that already paid her $299 a year for low ticket, a lot of them are actually qualified to buy the high ticket as well, right? Because like they're already willing to spend money. They've basically already raised their hands to show that they have a pain point. And if you give them an opportunity to buy, like they will take it, right? So it's a couple ways to like upsell them into the low ticket community to the high ticket and to like roll things over, right? So that can be done through like privately messaging like a couple of like hot prospects like in those low ticket communities and then making them an offer from there, right? Now the core of the funnel process, like how do we get more calls? How do we get more sales on the calendar? So from the YouTube, like YouTube is going to be more evergreen, right? So across the different top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom funnel videos, we're going to have YouTube to application funnel to a call. So that's going to bring people in. People will go through the application funnel, and again, if they're qualified, they'll see the calendar to book a call. If they're not qualified, they'll be downsold into the low ticket community. Now from Instagram, again, we want to push people to watch the long form content, right? So when there is a webinar coming up, we want to push Instagram to a webinar, and then from the webinar, the call to action from the webinar will be to book a call. Now, between the webinar times and during the other times, it could be like Instagram post, Instagram story goes to like a YouTube top of funnel lead magnet, which is kind of like, one of these, right? That will like start some conversations, bring people into the world, get them nurtured, right? And then from the DMs, you can have a message conversation with them and have them book a call from there, or they'll go through the YouTube funnel process, apply, book a call from there. All right. So those are kind of the main ways there that works well, and I've seen these all work pretty well in the finance space. Now, the other thing that could be done more so in the future will be what I call like 3-day challenges. So essentially how that works would be like, think about like a three day webinar where it's like 1 hour a day for like 3 days. And basically for people that sign up, that gives them like multiple opportunities to get nurtured and book a call, right? Like let's say they go through day one, if they've already been following this creator for a while, most of the time day one is going to be enough to book a call, right? But like, if they're coming in from like colder traffic, maybe they're coming in from ads, or maybe they just started following the influencer, right? Then maybe by day two, day three, then they'll book a call from there, right? So basically, like every day we want to give value and we want to have a call to action to book a call, right? So each of the days has a call to action. We don't want to wait till the very end because people might not stay for the whole 3-day challenge, right? But we want to have a call to action on every day, right? And the thought process behind that too is like, even if they miss a day, maybe they, you know, there's a scheduling conflict and they can't make day one, they can still make day two or day three, right? And so the thought process is like in those 3 days that will capture like, different opportunities. So especially for like, doing something like that, like at the start of the year when people are thinking about, setting like a finance plan for the whole year, or like going to like different holiday seasons and different things where like finance is top of mind, like that becomes like pretty effective and works really well there. Now something like that, I wouldn't run every week, every month kind of thing, but that could be kind of like once every like 2 to 3 months. That can work pretty well there. So those are the main ways in terms of how would I help this creator as the operator. So Again, we went through offers, sales process, traffic, conversation. There's obviously a lot more that I can't fit into this video, but at a high level, like that's what I would do as the operator, and that's how we would bring them an extra $41,960 per month for this creator. All right, I hope you found that analysis to be helpful. Now, if you are a creator and you already have the organic audience on, let's say, YouTube or Instagram, and you've been posting consistent content, but your monetization isn't fully structured yet, there's perhaps an opportunity that we can collaborate together. All right, so click on the link in the description below where you can apply to work with myself and my team. So I typically partner with creators that already have the audience and the expertise, but want help building and running the monetization side properly. So I typically work with a small number of creators at a time, where my team and I, we would build out their offers, their funnels, and then we would run the whole monetization engine for them so that they bring in more sales and they make more impact, right? So all the creator would have to do would be to create content and to coach the students, right? We take care of literally like everything else, all right? So click on the link below to apply, and if it's a good fit, you'll chat with myself or my team, and let's see what we can do together, all right? So with that, thank you for watching this video. Hope you found it to be helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.